Hola, ¿cómo están? Bienvenidos de nuevo to Dennis Sustainable Kitchen. I'm Dennis. And today we're back to finish off our birria that I made in the pressure cooker. So I already started breaking off the fat, but if you can see, there's not much fat in there, which is a good thing and a bad thing, depending on how much fat you want. But you can see it's a very small cap. And so if you're trying to use manteca to make that quesadillas and all of that, you're going to want more fat cap because this is not going to be much. But for me, I'm more broth focused. So I don't need so much of the fat cap. I just need a good broth. I believe I mentioned that there wouldn't be as much meat because a lot of it was the bone, right? So if we look at it, there's only small little chunks, and there's the marrow. And so, but you can see how gelatinous and thick this broth is. Y esto es donde está el sabor, because everything that came out of the meat, everything that came out of the bone, to make it rich. And then, of course, you have your spices, chiles, and everything in between. So what I'm going to do today is portion out my broth, essentially. Pero I'm going to have a little bit of the carnecita right here. More than anything, I want the marrow. You know, the marrow is phenomenal. So el tuétano. So if you don't know bone marrow, there's this little gelatin goodness in there, and rub it on toast. So it's like natural mantequilla, but it's good for you. And so you can see there's not much here, right? And so I was trying to think of what to make with it because I guess I'm one of those rare individuals that doesn't like leftovers. In the case of in English, when you say leftovers, you think of just stuff that was left over, you stick it in the microwave, y ya. And that's what I don't like. So I like taking leftovers, lo que es el recalentado en la comunidad hispanohablante, and turn it into something else. So here you got your plato de birria, tacos de birria, yesi birria. Then you can make your birria ramen, you can make birria pho, you can make your birria chino, as you guys saw. But then, what else can you do? So, what about sugo? You know, and it's a very hearty dish. Básicamente es un estofado. And so, figured why not do something like that? But then the broth is a little spicy. So how do we cut that? Dairy, leche. And so, there's a couple things you can do. One, you can use heavy cream or milk. So figure why not taste or take the approach of making salsa suiza, salsa verde de tomatillo, but then you mount it, as we call it, creme fraiche. And lastly, if you don't have it, sour cream. But yeah, we do have crema. And so we do have the broth that I'm going to use to heat up my tuétano and un poquito de la carne de la canilla. And I take on a soup con raíces, sabor jalisciense. And so what do I have? Just, broth and meat. So any pasta would work. Ideally, go all out. Fresh pasta. I'm not making pasta. That is challenge of its own, a mess of its own. Because at the end of the day, how much time do we all have to make pasta, right? That's a weekend project, family project. You have kids. That's a great event. So next thing, you could always buy fresh pasta and then freeze it. So in this case, tengo linguine that I bought que viene fresco, and then I just freeze it. And so from here, once the water is good, I'll just boil it off, cook it off, and finish it. And finish my little thing over here. So to finish off this pot, there's a couple things. Well, to finish off our dish, we need a couple things. One is a calentar la carne, and then la vamos a sazonar. And when I say sazonar, I'm going beyond the salt. It's more of how am I putting the dish together, right? When I talk about modular cuisine, it's just that. Think of it like Legos, right? Or you can put them in different places. As long as you have your bases, fundamentals, you have a low waste kitchen. So today, pasta. Tomorrow, it can be the quesadilla, plato de birria. Again, you could save the broth for something else, which is what I'm gonna do. And maybe I think two of these, I'll cut them in half and I'll save the meat with it, but then the rest of it just consomé. And I'm going to save also the little tuétano if it's still in the bone. Going back to finishing the dishes, add a little bit more liquid. If you're gonna cook more meat, you know, the flavor is concentrated. So you can season it with different things and you still got that birria root, right? That essence. So as you can see, my tuétano is getting a little bit soft. And now I'm gonna turn it around. So now it came out beautiful. And so for your sauce, if you want your sauce to look clean, be nice and glossy and not grainy, and basically all you need is a little bit of crema, a whisk. So once this is hot, once you're ready to go, just like Suiza sauce, once you add, you mount it with the crema, you can't let it boil. So you know it'll break. And that one is very much unfixable. So that's the tricky part doing this. If that's something that you're like afraid of doing, or you're gonna have this sauce for, you want to make it to hold it ahead of time, you know, for, let's just say you have a big party and you want to hold it, then do it the more French style, where you use a roux, flour, butter, mount it with same thing, crema, heavy cream. The flour and the butter will cut the spice flavor a bit, so just keep that in mind. So if you have a very concentrated broth, it's not something you usually worry about. Pero if your broth is very liquidy, you know, si no está like gelatinous like this, you need to reduce it to make the sauce. All right, our pasta's good. Now strain the sauce. So I'll leave this back in here. So if you're looking at the tuétano, if you've never seen it, that's the bone marrow right there. It's delicious. So if you're trying to do this at home for a lot of people, reheat the broth, strain what you're going to use for the sauce, and then put the strained stuff back in and keep the meat hot. All right, as you can see now the sauce is back, or the broth is back. I'm going to just toss the pasta in there to get a little coated. Yeah. Could I have cut the noodles right in the broth? Yeah, but I didn't have the meat warm enough. So you can absolutely do that. That's all the stuff that make your sauce look grainy. And so here, turn off the heat or remove the heat. Say 2 tablespoons. Whisk it. You can use an immersion blender if you want. The thing here is, as it gets cold, keep in mind this is gonna a lot thicker. Now, if you had your cotija, or in this case, what else goes well with this thing? Your limon, poquito de cebolla picada, cilantro, some zest. And if I had queso, which I don't, pero supongamos that you had maybe some cotija or parmesan, there you go. Tuétano, so good. And then the other piece, you gotta think about it. When you have birria, you're not gonna get a very, very thick broth, right? So you're trying to preserve el sabor. There you go. Not too rich, which is what I like, because it's in the sense of cream. No me gusta tanto la crema. It's good. So, and of course, with birria, you know, pozole, it's messy. So I couldn't even forget that part. So, you know, just something different, or at least that you can make on the fly, as we say it. So, what to call this? Comida del día. Simple as that. All right. I'm Dennis. Thank you for joining me, man. This is My Sustainable Kitchen. We'll see you on the next one. Provecho.